And let's keep rolling. I really like Kansas State. I think Kansas State's a good team. They just beat Iowa State, but I do think that they're going to struggle with experience, first year head coach. Indiana at 17 still questioned me. I think Indiana should be lower. I get it, they were the hottest team in the Big Ten for a while, but they just lost to Northwestern. They beat Illinois. They should be lower. And then I think Providence should also be a little lower, but they beat Villanova. They deserve to raise four. So yeah, and then one more thing I want to know with the top, or two more things I want to know with the top 25. One, Northwestern. Biases aside, they are a really good defensive team, and they put on an offensive clinic yesterday against Iowa, and they're coming off the best week in their men's basketball history. They beat number one Purdue, they beat number 14 Indiana, and they beat Iowa, who they had a 9-game losing streak against. They deserve to be ranked. They're 21. They almost deserve to be higher, but if you ask a Northwestern fan where would you want to be ranked, I think this is a good position for them. And then Texas A&M. Texas A&M continues to rise. They are in an SEC that's very up and down this year, but Texas A&M looks good, and I would not be surprised to see them contend in the ACC tour or in the SEC tournament. Looking at other teams that got votes, North Carolina State, obviously, they had a loss midweek to Syracuse, but they beat UNC in their rivalry game, and that's a big shoulder off their back. As a UNC fan, I hate it, but it happens. Maryland getting some votes, which is nice for them. They're really good at home. Jameer Young's one of the best guards in the conference, maybe the country. Oral Roberts, Max Admis continues to play well, and then Kentucky has played themselves back in the field. Oscar Tshiebwe is still the best player in the country. I don't think that is arguable, but Zach Edey's going to win the award. And then the rest, not much. Arkansas getting some votes tonight. I do think Arkansas could be a dark horse team come March. So, next up, my top 5 teams in college basketball. So, I just wanted to get my 5 contenders. I sort of spoiled number 1 out anyway, but let's do it. Number 5, Arizona. I think Arizona is a really good team. As Elise Tobelis, Pele Larson, they are just a very good team, very well rounded. And the Pac-12 is better this year than many other years. 4, UCLA. I'm not deviating that much. I think that UCLA with Tiger Campbell and Jaime Jaquez, they have the experience. They have Mick Cronin as their coach, one of the best coaches in the league, and they do not lose at home. I think they're going to win the Pac-12 tournament, and they are on the 2 seed, 1 seed line. UCLA is a scary team. Number 3, Alabama. I have Alabama at 3, even though they're 2 in the AP poll. Brandon Miller is the best freshman in the conference. Outside of that, they sometimes lack secondary production, especially in their losses, and I think that it's hard to rely on a freshman come March. Number 2, Kansas. Kansas, they're loaded. Grady Dick, Jalen Wilson, DeJuan Harris. They defending champions. They have the experience, and they bring in a star in Dick. They are a good team. There is no question about that. And number 1's Houston. I mentioned the experience. I mentioned the star power. I mentioned the coaching. I mentioned that they've been there. And I mentioned the Final Fours in Houston. You really can't write it better. I think Houston has to be considered the number 1 team right now. Yeah, so with that, there's a few of my takes on college basketball, just a few evaluations of the top 25 poll. One more thing I wanted to note, because know some people are wondering this, and as a fan without biases, let's talk about the worst story in college basketball this year, which has to be the UNC Tar Heels, who started the preseason number 1, and they are not going to make the NCAA tournament unless they win out. What's going wrong for UNC? They're 3rd in the ACC in scoring. They still have all their stars except for Brady Manick, who left and was replaced by Pete Nance. And here's the first problem. Pete Nance is averaging 9 points a game, but in his past 10, he's only been averaging 6. He's not been playing well. A lot of UNC fans pin the blame on him for that Duke loss, and that is fully fair because Pete Nance has not been playing well. What else? They're turning over the ball too much. Caleb Love, RJ Davis, Armando Bacot, they're all turning the ball over, and it is having a major effect on their offense. They are not being creative. Caleb Love has had to huck up shots. Their offense really has not woken up until late in games. You see this in the Wake Forest game. You see this in the Miami game, and it's too late at that point. UNC, there's no doubt they have the talent, but they are not playing well, and they have 0 quad 1 wins, and that's the biggest stat that the committee used. They used that in record, and UNC isn't even over 500 in the ACC, and they have a really bad quad 1 record, and that is not good. They have the brand, they're North Carolina. Everyone knows how scary they can be, but they do not look scary right now. What else? There's not much else to say. They didn't shoot a free throw in the Duke game. They got a little robbed there. Duke should have won the game. Do not get me wrong. And also, the ACC is not that good this year, and UNC is not playing well. So it is concerning. UNC fans look away. I don't think they're going to make the tournament unless there is a major turnaround starting on Wednesday at Notre Dame, which is a very tough game against Mike Brey. Yeah, it's a struggle for UNC, and against NC State, they're so prone to runs, and that's going to kill them in the long run, or in the short run and the long run. They're really prone to runs. Their offense falls asleep. They turn over the ball too much. They're not playing good defense. They have the star power, but it's really a struggle. So there's my top 25 reactions and evaluations. As long as a quick UNC tidbit, it's gonna come in two videos because my roommates annoyed me and started knocking on my door. But yeah, more content on the way. Have a film review coming on Inside, and you check that out. Peace, guys.